Hey, what's up guys? I'm BTC. In the last week, there's been a lot of discussion about one-tricks, banning, and the report system. And in the last few days, a couple more high-profile top 500 and pro players were also banned for some of this related stuff. However, there is a silver lining. One of the players that was recently banned, Fuey500, was completely vindicated by Blizzard that he did nothing wrong and that he should not have been banned. We'll get to that in just a second, but first, now if you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe because anytime important stuff like this happens, I'll be sure to let you guys know all the important details, so subscribe and hit that bell so you don't miss any of it. So just a couple days ago, a top 500 Symmetra main by the name of Stevo was banned, and he claims it's only because he is playing Symmetra and people constantly report. Now, whether this is true or not, I don't know, but I can tell you that he has had some problems in the past where he has had other accounts be suspended, most notably for the Bronze to GM challenge. And if you don't know what that is, basically he would get a new account and he would just kind of mess around or not really play as well as he should during the placements of that account into the competitive ladder. And as a result, he would get put all the way down into like bronze or silver, and then while he's on live stream, he would play as hard as he could and he would try to rank from bronze to GM as fast as he can in as few games as he can. Now, I'm not going to go into any long discussion about whether or not this is good, it's fun, or if it should be allowed or anything. Basically, Blizzard doesn't like it because what ends up happening is all of those matches that he is in basically get ruined because he is playing at a much higher level than everyone else in the game. So all the other 11 people that are in that bronze game that he's playing have absolutely no chance of basically having any effect on the match. This player is going to just completely carry it, and the enemy team has no chance, so they pretty much get an automatic loss, and that is why Blizzard doesn't like it, and that's why his alt accounts were banned. Now, as for his main account, which was just suspended, he claimed that it was because he's a Symmetra one-trick and he's being unfairly targeted, but Blizzard has said that it's because he has displayed disruptive behavior. Now, while it's certainly possible he could have disruptive behavior, there is absolutely no doubt that he was reported quite a few times for nothing other than playing Symmetra, and that kind of goes to the heart of the issue. We'll get to the more on that, though, in just a second, but now we're going to change up gears a little bit because we're going to go to the other side. There was another top 500 player. He was actually a pro-level player on the Overwatch League team, the Dallas Fuel, and this is XQC. He was just recently banned for 3 days for abuse of the reporting system. Essentially, what he would do is if he gets into a game and he sees that there's a one-trick, like a Symmetra or a Torbjorn or something like that, a character that he doesn't think should be played or whatever, or who could possibly put his team at a disadvantage, he immediately goes and just fully reports that person for a variety of things, for griefing, for poor teamwork, for abusive chat, for cheating, all these things. And on top of that, when he makes the report, he uses some profanity, that was deemed inappropriate. So he ended up getting a 3-day suspension, and then later on, he apologized. He was likely forced to by his team, Dallas Fuel. But regardless, he did apologize, and he said, "I'd like to take the time off to apologize for the reports I sent and the mean words I typed in those. I got upset after a few bad games in a row and wasn't thinking clearly. If you watch my stream, you know that I'm a very competitive and always strive to win games. I'm learning to understand that not every player in Ranked has the same goals as me and that I can't get carried away by those players. I hope you all understand. I'm sorry." So that was his official response. Now, I'm going to be totally blunt with you guys. After reading that apology and seeing what he was saying on the live stream and such after the ban happened, I don't believe his apology at all. I think it's just for publicity's sake. I think he was forced to by the team that he plays for, which is the Dallas Fuel, and that's about it. It's just to try to, you know, sweep it under the rug and forget about it and just continue to move on. And I don't have a problem with that per se. But I think this really kind of hits home the point that there are two types of people in Overwatch, specifically on the competitive ladder. You have those that actually want to improve and want to get better and want to win and rank up, and then you have other people who are just kind of whatever, and they're just kind of playing for fun, and they don't really care if what they do affects the other players negatively. Now here's the thing, if someone is able to make it all the way to top 500 using nothing but Symmetra or Torbjorn, then there's no doubt that player is quite good at the game. However, there's also no doubt that that player is consistently putting his own team at a disadvantage for refusing to switch off to play other things that might be more beneficial to the team. Now, if you're playing a character and you're doing really well on it and your team is winning, that's fine. But if you're getting heavily countered and you still refuse to switch, that is the kind of thing that XQC was kind of lashing out against. So that brings me to the last person that I want to talk about today, which is Fuey500. Now, in previous videos, I mentioned that this person was banned solely for playing Torbjorn, being a one-trick Torbjorn. But the thing is he actually does kind of switch off every now and again if he needs to. If he is being completely ineffective or if someone else is playing Torb, he doesn't throw a fit, he just plays something else, right? So he was different from a lot of the other kind of stories that went around, where a lot of times you would say, oh, this person was banned for one-tricking, and as it turns out, oh no, he did something else bad. Well, a lot of people were kind of trying to place that blame on Fuey500 as well, but I was not able to find any evidence that Fuey500 was doing other stuff that would be considered bannable. And other people did a lot of searching as well. They couldn't find anything either. This guy was never toxic. He never threw any of his matches. He was never trolling. He never harassed the other players. He never went AFK. None of that stuff. He always played the game as good as he could, but most of the time he was playing Torbjorn. So I clearly said, with all of the other stuff, the other reasons removed, he was very clearly reported and then banned for doing nothing more than simply playing Torbjorn. And as it turns out, I was right. He was in fact banned for playing Torbjorn, and Blizzard has now apologized. So right now, I'm going to read you an email that came from Blizzard's customer service department, and it was sent to Fuey500. Hi Fuey500, I reached out to our development team for an update, and they were able to confirm that you should not be suspended for being a Torbjorn main. They will be continuing to iterate on our processes and to get our systems working as well as we can. I am afraid that we can't share further specifics than that, but I did want to let you know that we appreciate your time and efforts in bringing this to our attention. In the unfortunate event that you find yourself running into any further issues of this nature, please take the time to open a ticket through our support site to let us know. As we mentioned previously, fighting gameplay toxicity is very important to us. We can certainly appreciate that our system is not perfect, and we want to make sure that we are able to address any problems of this sort as accurately and efficiently as possible. Your feedback and that of other players are one of the most important tools we have available to help us do that. Take care. So again, that is from the Blizzard customer service department, basically vindicating Fuey500, saying, yep, you didn't do anything wrong, we shouldn't have banned you, and that was a mistake. So while it is good that Blizzard sent this message to Fuey500 and vindicated him of any wrongdoing, they did so in kind of a runaround, clouded way, and I really don't like that. They should have just been more blunt about it, said, yeah, we made a mistake, you shouldn't have been banned, and we're gonna try not to do it again. I mean, they kind of said that, but they did so in a, like I said, in kind of like a runaround way. You know, like it says, I reached out to our development team for an update, and they were able to confirm that you should not have been suspended for being a Torbjorn main. He doesn't actually ever say, yeah, we made a mistake, we're sorry, you shouldn't have been banned. He just said, oh, those other people on the dev team said that you shouldn't have been banned. So, like, there's no ownership of the mistake, is basically what I'm trying to say. There's also a couple of other really big issues that need to be addressed. The first is that if this had been anyone else, it probably would have never been resolved like this, right? The reason why this was resolved in this way is because Fuey500 is a very high-profile player, and he was able to get a lot of backing behind him in order to force Blizzard into actually giving a response. If this had been just any random average player, then this would have never happened. They would have gotten a suspension, they would have never known that it was unfairly given to them, and that would have been it. And I don't think that's right, and I don't think that's appropriate at all. Another major problem is that Blizzard, when you do get banned, they don't actually tell you what you were banned for. Like, for example, in Fuey500, he was told it was disruptive behavior, but they never gave him any specifics. They didn't say, well, this is what you did on such and such day at such and such time. You did this, and it was wrong, and that's why you're being banned. They won't tell you that. They simply said it's disruptive behavior, and because of that, you know, Fuey500, like, what did I do, basically, you know, is what he's asking himself. I didn't do anything wrong, and you're just telling me it's disruptive behavior. You have to tell the person why they were banned, what they actually did, so that they can know to not do it again. You don't just ban someone and say, don't do that again. And then the person who was banned was like, well, what did I do? And Blizzard is like, well, we're not going to tell you, just don't do it again. It's like, well, how do I know not to do the thing if you don't tell me what the thing is, right? But I think the absolute biggest problem with all of this situation is in that first line that's written in this message. It says, I reached out to our development team for an update, and they were able to confirm that you should not be suspended for being a Torbjorn main. This is someone who works at the Blizzard Customer Service Department. This is someone who is responsible for banning these accounts. And yet, this person doesn't know the rules. That is a problem. It's one thing for players to be confused with Blizzard being inconsistent. You know, there's mixed messages. In-game, it will say you cannot report someone for this, but then you have someone on Twitter who says, oh yeah, you could totally ban them for that. You know, obviously the players, there's some confusion there, but when you have the people who are actually doing the banning, who don't understand what the rules are, and that they need to talk to the development team, that is a problem. That is a very serious problem. And that is why you have cases like Fuey500, who was very clearly and now fully vindicated. He was banned for doing nothing other than playing Torbjorn, and that's it. But I suppose the silver lining to this is now with this big issue that arose with Fuey500, it might actually make the Blizzard customer team a little bit more aware of the situation, and it might mean that OneTrix might be less likely to actually get an unfair suspension on their accounts now. Whether or not that actually happens, I don't know. What do you guys think about all this, the bans and the vindication of Fuey500? Let me know in the comments. Also, don't forget to check out my Discord. Follow me on Twitter, Instagram, all that stuff. The links are down below. Thanks for watching. Remember, always blame the controller, because it's never your fault. Also, special thanks to all my Patreon supporters for helping to make this all possible. If you'd like to see what kind of cool rewards you can get for supporting the channel, check the links on screen and down below.